I'm underneath a ledge right now. It started raining. I don't want to ruin my phone. It's like there's patches of rain coming down, and so I'm trying to walk in between them. Which is funny because I'm about to go for a run, like a 2-mile run after I shoot this video. I don't mind running and getting wet, I just don't want to mess with the camera. So here's a video I made, hair loss cause, DNA versus unhealthy lifestyle. A new contributor, 7860092. This is like the third video I think I've made because of this viewer here. So thank you for your contribution there. Saying this, quote, "Hey Nick, I have an idea. Why don't we send you pictures from our hair and you can make a video about it and talk about the specific person's hair and give that person some tips and answer his questions in your videos," end quote. So here's what I'm going to say about that idea. This is probably like maybe the third time someone's asked me about that. And it's not that I don't think it's a good idea. Like, I think it's cool. I think it'd be complicated for me because I'd probably have to get in a situation where I'd have to have like signed waivers and stuff like that. And then, you know, there'd be certain people who I'd make a video about them. And then once the comments roll in, if there was any kind of negative comments, the person could get upset. So it's a little too sticky of a situation for me to handle. But instead of giving you what you do want, I'll give you what you don't want. I think the best thing I can do is to say this. If we're looking at someone's hair to help them know what tips to go on, I think I'd rather keep it simple with this rule. I think really it comes down to this. What's your Norwood status? And how's your thinning? Because here's what I've seen. I've had, you know, the last couple of years, I've had dozens of my viewers send me pictures of their hair. And pretty much every single time, they were like Norwood 2 at the very worst. I don't even think I've yet to see a Norwood 3. If so, that was the worst case. It was a Norwood 3. And as everyone can see, I can pull off a Norwood 3 pretty well. Even though I've got some thinning in the front and the back, I can still... People don't see me as balding. People watching look for it, so therefore they're aware of it. But most people, they don't. So, I mean, it's almost like if you were watching the news and you were watching the weatherman, like this would probably be how his hair is. He's a guy in his mid-30s or early 40s, and this is about how his hair is. And that's not a balding guy. That's just a guy who's in his early 30s or his mid-30s or early 40s. But here's the advice I would have for anyone who's starting to experiencing hair loss. Chances are you're somewhere in the Norwood 2, maybe the Norwood 3. And as far as the tips for that, to me it's pretty universal. It's pretty generic, really, and I think everyone can learn from it. It's still raining. That's why I'm not moving. I know you're used to me walking through buildings, between buildings, but for me it's this simple. You can, for the most part, still get away with most hairstyles. I mean, unless you've got an obvious peninsula or it's detaching, you can pretty much just get away with what you want to. My only advice is once you start getting into Norwood 4, or if you just have like just major thinning, where if someone were to look at you from here and be able to tell that you're definitely thinning, I'd say just pretty much just do what you want to. Otherwise, if it's definitely thinning that badly, or you're in Norwood 4 or beyond, then you should probably consider buzzing it off or shaving it. I really think that's what I would say to pretty much anyone who would send me a video. It'd probably be one of those things that I would be telling them. So there you go. I've just saved a lot of people the trouble of sending me pictures for us to all, you know, take a look at. Because that's what I've learned. Remember, I've seen dozens of people's hair that they've emailed me. And it's never challenging for me. You know, it never is. Because it's always the same thing. Norwood 2 or 3 at the worst. So that's what I'm going to say. Just do the hairstyle that you want to do. Unless you're Norwood 4 or unless you've got major thinning, then you probably want to consider buzzing it off. But the demographics of this channel are younger guys who are starting to notice that they've got a Norwood 2. That's pretty much where most people are at that are sending me pictures. The people who send me pictures aren't the guys who are beyond what I've got. So hopefully that'll help. Again, it's just too messy for me to broadcast other people's pictures on my channel. So I'm just going to stay away from that reason. Even though it's a good idea, it's too time consuming and there's just too much involved. So there you go. There's your universal advice for hair loss if you're in that situation. If you're node 1, 2, or 3, just do what you want to with your hair, because you can pretty much get away with it. And if you're beyond that, might be time to go ahead and shave it off and adopt your status as the guy who started balding a little bit younger than everybody else, and is now the guy who just keeps it short, and he's the confident guy with the bald hair. He pulls it off. That's pretty much the advice I could give anyone ever. It's all that universal information. Yeah, I'm still here. The screen's wet. It won't let me turn it off.